Can you give me an example of some of your favorite places?
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to placemaking, the greatest experts are not the people who have read all the books, who have researched all the places. It really comes from experience when you're in a place. Last week I was in Vancouver and I happened to go for brunch at a restaurant, and it immediately dawned on me, this is the perfect example for something we're doing in Toronto at the Lakeview Development Project in Mississauga for the brewery that we're working on to bring that anchor. So it's about understanding those places and those experiences. It's not about the place, it's about the element that you see within the place. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they get excited about the big project is they go on this trip to go look at the 5 projects that are the most relevant. There's nothing wrong with that, but think about the pieces of these projects and where you would go look, because these mixed-use developments, these places are a kit of parts. It's not emulating one thing and just completely replicating it into another place.
I'm going to go one step further.
Right.
If you look at what I call seemingly unconnected things, and then you try to make the connection, that's where real creativity comes from. And I used to do this exercise when I was teaching to students. I would give them something like a shoe and a building, and then say, now design the building with the elements of the shoe, to get their mind to expand. And I think that's what we don't do enough of. The other thing I don't think we do enough of is that very often developers are sort of homogeneous groups of people, right? We need to really stretch that to age ranges and ethnic diversity so they can bring that different perspective to people.
I totally agree. I think that everyone brings a different lens to the conversation. The other thing about placemaking that I think is also important is we're so task-driven to get to the finish line. And in these projects that are highly complicated, that have major investments in them and major obligations, you can't lose sight of that. But I think my point is if you step back just a bit to take a look at the ground floor plane, you actually can accelerate faster than having to go back and make changes. So, placemaking isn't just about the building and the ground floor 50 feet up. How does it connect to the public domain? I believe that if you get your place, whatever you may call it, right, it will drive value, long-term value upstairs, whether you're 100%. Renting apartments, selling condos, or whether you're renting offices. But more importantly, it's not just the value on the day one when you bring in that new tenant or you bring in that new homeowner, it's 20 years later. And one of the things that I've learned is some of the greatest places around the world that everybody loves started somewhere. And the ones that have lasted the test of time are actually the true winners. And the high value, the high yield around these places is remarkable. So why wouldn't a developer say to themselves, I better give this a bit of thought because I would like for these values to be here long after I'm gone, or if I happen to have a generational asset that my family is going to own or my company is going to own, not just the first 60 months of that project.